Welcome to the Downtown, brought to you by Arlington Urban. I am Daryl Jr., and across the internet from me is...
I am Rody John. On today's show, we talked to Viviana Ricardez from Texas Turtles about where her passion for turtles came from, the different species of turtles here in Texas, and how you can help the turtles.
Interesting note about that interview. It was our first outdoor interview because we had booked all of these interviews at Urban Union, which, again, thank you so much for allowing us to use your space. But I think we got some wires crossed on the time, and so we just, did it right outside the Tiki Bar, which was really cool. And also, she brought turtles.
Exactly.
We also talked to Brandon from Arlington Urban about how they got into making content on Instagram and on Facebook, along with the impact that their followers have had on their content as well as our community.
So once again, thank you to UnionWorks for allowing us to use your space. Lauren and Luke are two of just Arlington gems. And
sure, absolutely.
Yeah, I can't thank y'all enough, but yeah. That morning we had, it's all jazz, baby. We got to play on the fly, and we recorded outside of Fort Kahunas, which, again, another first for us. And then, actually during the interview, we finally got in touch with them, and they allowed us in. But, we already started it. We're not going to unfinish the interview. Yeah, not going to start over again.
Plus, it was a pretty great morning. We recorded this quite a long time, like in June.
Yeah.
But it was like that part of June where we got a nice cool front. So it was a very nice morning. And the last morning I remember where I didn't hate living in Texas.
We are here with Viviana Ricardez with Texas Turtles. How are you today, ma'am?
I'm doing all right, thanks.
I would also like to note the location of this podcast.
So we initially were going to do it inside UnionWorks, but right now we are outside of Fort Kahunas Tiki Lounge. So, hey,
welcome to the American Dream City, right?
It's jazz, baby. You gotta keep going.
Well, thank you so much for joining us at this umbrella of this palm tree umbrella.
It's very tropical here today.
It is.
It's a little humid still, and
it's Texas.
Somewhere in the 70s. So,
all right. I guess just launch in for those that don't know. What can you tell us about Texas Turtles and how it got started?
Hi guys. Yeah, I'm Viviana Ricardez, vice president of a conservation nonprofit called Texas Turtles, or texasturtles.org on the web, and we do conservation research, education, ecology-based research across the state of Texas for all the turtle diversity that Texas has. And so that's kind of in a nutshell of what we do.
How did it get started?
Sure. So herpetologist Carl Franklin, who's the president of our organization, he basically started this website called texasturtles.org back in 2007. And it wasn't until 2019, a few years ago, that we were all teaming up and we were doing all this research and contributing. And he's like, hey, we can make this a nonprofit. And so, obviously it pays for equipment, it pays for our stuff that we need to do, our research and stuff like that. So that's kind of how it just happened. We just kind of were like, okay, let's do this. And and here we are. So yeah, it was a conceptual idea of herpetologist Carl Franklin, who's, like I said, our president. And he was born and raised in Arlington, and I was born and raised in Arlington. And so this is really exciting because it's my first non-turtle nerd herpetology, not to my peers and other, groups that I've been doing all these other podcasts with. So I think that's cool. We could talk about Arlington and how it all... How turtles started for me here growing up as a little kid. So.
How did that? How did that?
Oh, yeah.
Segues perfectly.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think it's called biophilia. Those of us who love the outdoors and nature and like being with animals. My dad just found a turtle. We found a red ear slider crossing the road. Like it was 20 and 287, like right there by Taco Bueno and McDonald's and the I-20
Taco Bueno the other day.
Yep. Yeah. And so that was it. Like we just found it, and I was very curious as to why does it have a shell? Why is it going? Why is it here off the highway? And just those basic ecology, natural history questions. And then we kept it for a little while, which you should never do. I don't know how much the average person's like, don't take home wild turtles.
Right.
They don't make good pets. Stuff
They're
like
wild.
that. Yeah, keeping things wild. And of course, in the 90s back then, we didn't know.
Sure,
I mean, there was
sure,
no
sure.
internet. I had lived off books and half-price books and
Right.
the local, record stores, bookstores around here, just finding information on stuff. So it went from that, and then I released it by my school so I could kind of like
Keep
see
an
it
eye.
every
Yeah,
day.
yeah,
like
yeah. That's my
so it'd
bud
be
now.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, well, I have a turtle out there. He's living in the pond.
What school was that?
Kennedale.
Nice. Okay.
I was on the Kennedale side. Yeah, so born and raised in Arlington, but went to Kennedale
Yeah.
schools, the usual. And then from there, I wanted like a tortoise.
Mm-hmm.
And since there wasn't a ton of information in the 90s, Arlington had a lot of pet stores.
We really
back
did.
then.
We really
and
did.
And that was really kind of the start for me, but it also helped launch me into the direction that I am now as far as the conservation ecology, because pet stores, especially back then, were not on the up and up.
No.
Yeah, no,
At
no,
all.
no.
And so that's how my first experience with like trying to keep and wanting to keep turtles as a pet versus what I was really interested in was the ecology and natural history. So there was a pet store on Little Road back then in the 90s. It was really not a good, and they're not even around anymore. So I don't even I don't
That
even
could be
want to
why,
say this. Yeah, they're not good. And that pet store haunted me even
Right.
like later on in my high school days. And I wanted to go buy a box turtle or tortoise, and they had like, no, I think it was a pet store across the street. My dad bought me an ornate box turtle, and I kept it. We made a thing for it outside, and just kind of like that was, and I wanted a male, so I went and bought this box turtle from this not on the up and up
Sure.
pet store.
But not reputable.
Yeah, yeah. And there was, like I said, there was tons of them in Arlington back then. And it was sick. And the lady knew she was selling a 10-year-old, 9-year-old kid a sick box turtle.
Yeah.
And so I came back and I went to all through all my books, and I went to library and bookstores and found out, okay, this thing is sick.
Right.
And it didn't live much longer. I mean,
Oh,
once
wow.
I saw that. So that was my really first experience of like the shady side and the not so great side of like that industry of turtle world and pets and reptile world, and everyone's connected. So it's kind of funny looking back on how everyone was connected even back then. So it ended up dying, and my dad's like, just put it in the backyard and you can keep the shell. And I was like, oh, okay. I didn't like, it sounds kind of weird, but it really is fascinating on the science aspect, because that's why I first learned like the anatomy of a turtle. And that's what I was really interested in and liking. And I remember feeling really bad because I did have a group of other box turtles that some died, some got out, a neighbor killed one of them. And I remember thinking like, that's it, I'm never going to do this again. Like I don't need to be keeping box
Right.
turtles for them to die like this.
Right, yeah,
And
yeah.
it was like really like that mind thing where I'm like, well, I'm not going to do that, And so fast forward to now, meeting a professional herpetologist and making friends like that, I definitely saw that, I was really interested in the ecology, natural history, the science aspect of why. Because the pet industry is a huge problem, and poaching is a huge problem for turtles
Right.
in Texas and across the globe. So that's a lot of what our stuff is focused on as an organization and all that. So I tell people all the time, turtles do not make good pets. Like I get emails all the time of people trying to surrender sliders and sulcata tortoises, and anything you find in PetSmart is wild caught. They'll tell you it's not, but it's not. Oh yeah, they're wild caught. So it's been interesting seeing like how I transitioned from that and thinking, it'd be really cool to keep, but what I was really interested in was the natural history, science side of stuff.
Right.
So that's kind of the beginning roots in Arlington, and hitting up all these different pet stores and learning what was sick in the pet
Shady
store.
business practices.
Right.
Yeah, learning what was sick in pet stores, and I got real good at like seeing it. They're like, oh, that's sick, and telling people, oh, this is what it looks like sick and what not to do. So that's kind of the very, very beginning. I was really young back then.
Yeah, as we've done a little history, we found out Tiger King owned a pet
Oh,
store
yeah, I
here
was
in
gonna say
Arlington.
that.
Yeah.
We do have-
went to that pet
Right.
I was
store.
going to say, that's the one pet store I didn't go to. And our president of our organization, when Tiger King came out, my colleague, Carl, he kept saying, I feel like this guy's familiar. This guy's familiar. I'm like, you probably ran into him. Like, you
Yeah,
probably ran into
yeah,
him.
yeah.
So the pet store, he did visit. It has a really interesting story about going to the pet store and seeing Joe Exotic, and then all kinds of really cool stuff back then. But yeah, I never went to that one.
I went, and I'm sure I have like a vague memory of someone who resembles Joe Exotic being, and he was a lot younger
Yeah,
back
that's
then.
right.
I was a lot younger, so I don't know how true that is. But I do remember going to that pet store because it was pretty close to my house. But I also kind of felt, even back then, I was like, this is kind of a weird place, man.
Yeah.
Like, this doesn't feel like a good place.
Yeah, they're not, and they don't smell well, and you don't realize they're like, these don't, and when you say you go into some place, it smells like a pet store, you're like, oh, that's why. It's not supposed to smell like that, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, the bedding and stuff has a substrate, and cypress has a smell to it, but you shouldn't want them to be really smelly. But yeah, it's been interesting.
So, one of the things I know we noticed on the website was Texas is home to almost half the turtle diversity in America, and there are 3 species that can only be found here. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, that is, I really get excited over our endemics. We have 36 different types, so species, taxa, depending on what nerd wants to break it out into what, split stuff. I go with 36 because that gives us a lot. We have 3, 4, one's a subspecies. And they're all in Central Texas. Like we have, down in Central Texas, there's endemics that are found only there, and they're just really, really unique, and they're my favorite. But we don't have them here in North Texas, so I mean, I don't bring it up tons up here. I'll bring up the stuff we have here in DFW. But yeah, there's some really neat turtle species down there, and a lot of research that hasn't been done, and people don't know a ton. So we've kicked off a lot of research down there as well.
So why has the research not been done? I guess.
Well, how many turtle nerds are there? I mean, how many of us are?
I guess that's true. Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess you could answer that. How many turtle nerds are there?
There's not a lot, but no, there is a really cool push, and lots of people getting excited about turtles now, and lots of research happening. So this is kind of first in Texas history, I guess, of a lot of stuff. I mean, there's been herpetologists that have been studying turtles here for a long time, but as far as making it mainstream and having a citizen science aspect and having lots of community members come out and volunteer and help us with the research, that's kind of been a new thing. So yeah, it's very interesting. It's been very cool. Like
civic participation by the turtle nerds.
Yeah, there's people that are naturalists. There's people that are the average person that come out and help us, what we call mark, measure, weight, pit tag, and we catalog each animal. We take measurements off each turtle. Everything's given a microchip, and you go to the same spot over and over and over, and you scan the microchip, just like the cat or dog stuff.
Yeah.
And you scan it over, and then you collect your data for 5 years worth, 10 years worth, and you can get all kinds of population size, all kinds of stuff.
Movements and stuff like that.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, I mean, we have some stuff. We don't have any radio telemetry stuff going on now, but we've helped with other ones. That's something we definitely want to get funds for. If I could put radio telemetry on everything, it would be so cool to see how
where did he swim today?
It is very cool, and it can be a pain to track, but it's really interesting once you're done.
Now, with the way land development is going and the rise in population and pollution, what can people do to help the ecosystem going forward with turtles?
Yeah, we need to keep what we have going now. We collaborate a lot with Gulf Center of Arlington, who I know y'all have had on. He's been wonderful to work with. River Legacy, that's one of our study sites and our research sites back there. But yeah, these turtles that I brought, even especially, they've lost habitat. Some turtles that were here back in the 90s when we were a kid are not around anymore because they're just not places for them to live. I find small little populations of box turtles kind of pop up here and there. It's hard to say if they were somebody's pet and they took them home and then they got out, or if they lived already there and just so happened to make it through all the traffic and the houses and the dogs and the bicycles and stuff this whole time. So it's a lot to be discovered, even in our own backyard still, of what is still here, and these little gems of natural area like River Legacy, any of these parks that can still have some really good turtle diversity. We still have some really cool stuff in the Trinity. It still seems pretty hopping, which is, like I said, that's one of our study sites here, and we'll see what else happens.
Have you done a lot of exploration of Village Creek or Rush Creek and stuff like that? I mean, I imagine those would be perfect places.
Oh yeah, it does have some stuff. We've found some species that we didn't really know were there or didn't know to what extent they were there. So that's definitely something that we always look at, what we call low-hanging fruit. It's right under our nose, and people don't realize, hey, there's some really great diversity here.
I mean,
really
until you said
happening.
That, I didn't even think about how many places there could be. Randall Mill Park has a pretty decent little creek there sometimes, there's so many places that you could see turtles and other wildlife live in their natural life.
There's still pockets of them here and there. So that's kind of been the big thing is people can do a lot in their own backyard by not pesticides, native plants, replanting the native plants. That's a big push for a lot of naturalists people are realizing, oh, there's native plants you can plant here instead of an ornamental plant that'll provide benefit to the butterflies, the lizards, everything else.
Right.
You know, everything's connected. And turtles are super important because people don't realize that they have like high, what we call biomass. And so their role in the ecosystem as they get eaten, they're food for other animals, which is fine. Animals eat them. They eat dead and dying fish. They're kind of a cleanup crew. I mean, they do a lot for the seed dispersal. Like people know birds do seed dispersal. Turtles do a lot of seed dispersal.
I thought about that, man.
Right?
Totally right.
Yeah. So
absolutely.
I mean, and that's why they have like a really high biomass as far as like really being important to any river system. So
providing services that like are needed in a natural ecosystem.
And so they're super important. I don't think people realize that. And that's one of the aspects of our organization is, hey, the average person needs to realize everyone knows tigers and elephants and poaching's a huge problem for, like I said, turtles.
Yeah. I mean, they're so small. It's not like poaching a tiger takes considerable. Poaching a turtle, not as much.
Not as much.
Kind of do it yourself.
Right.
In some cases, so.
Exactly. And I mean by the hundreds. Like they'll leave out of the U.S. by the hundreds. I've seen some pictures from all these confiscations and had to kind of been involved in some aspect, and it's really heartbreaking when you see tons, 50 something or 20 turtles even, and not even half of them live. Just from being rescued because they're already so messed up and
from trying to
get
smuggled,
being taped up and being wrapped in a bag and being smothered in a crate to go over to Asia. Man. So.
That's insane.
Right.
I'll show y'all some crazy pictures.
You don't even think, when you think about turtles, it's not something you think about until someone tells you or you see. Because I've read stuff about it too, right? Like, so I know that it happens, but like, just thinking about the magnitude of it, like, because of how small turtles can be. I mean, some turtles get very big, but like a lot of turtles when they're like that are very small. Man, that is sad.
It is. It's pretty nuts. So that's why, I mean, turtles and tortoises are now the most endangered group of vertebrates. They beat out. I know, and nobody really knows that. It's like, oh, there's a big problem here, so we need to start doing something now. Which is why Texas is cool, because a lot of our stuff is still relatively common. Granted, we don't have any hardline data of what they were 20 years ago. Right. We just have what people have passed down via word and what I saw as a kid crossing the road and what we experienced as a kid, my colleagues, what they saw as a kid. And it's like, oh, well, they're not there anymore. Even toads. Like I grew up with one kind of toad, always grew up with one kind of toad here in Arlington. And my colleague, Carl, he grew up with 2 different species of toads. Well, one species is not around anymore because the Gulf Coast, what we have now, what you will probably see, it just does so well with urbanization and just did so well at adapting, and the other one didn't. So stuff like that. Wow. Simple stuff.
I was in Ennis the other day on a construction site, and we saw like a turtle actually like burying into the ground.
Nesting.
Nesting the eggs, because there's a little pondish type drainage system over there. So we didn't mess with the turtle, obviously. So then later in the afternoon, turtle wasn't even there. So I'm sure it went back. Yeah. Now let's say people do see that around here in Arlington. What is the best thing to do, obviously, other than just leave the turtle be?
Sure. So I put out a lot of information on our Facebook, and I've done a couple other talks that I'm kind of starting to link stuff to, and I might make something more formal about like protect. If it's in your yard, you can actually protect it and put like a hardwire mesh, and I'll stake it down really well with stakes and hardwire mesh. I have an old fire pit cover I've been collecting from garage sales because that stakes down really well, and it kind of leaves a dome for them. So you wait 60 to 90 days, maybe something hatches, sometimes nothing hatches. It's just how it goes. Like when it happens in my neighbor's yard or in my yard, I'll dig down a little bit just to see that there's eggs, just to make sure, because they do dummy nests and fake nests and test nests or whatever. They decide to, abandon
they gotta figure out
their
what's
mission.
going on.
Exactly. So I had one. I'm doing one right now in my neighbor's yard. It's covered. We'll see if anything happens in 90 days. Last year, everything was infertile, so it was after like 100, 120 days. I'm like, okay, I think nothing's hatching out of this. There was no movement of them popping up. So I went and I started poking around, and none of the eggs were fertile. But we have done that with an alligator snapping turtle nest in East Texas, which was the first documented nesting data for Texas, which is surprising because
this is
the first, like, we got to document this first stuff, and we did. We got big chunk of hardwire mesh and stakes and rebar and pinned that sucker down to the ground because raccoons will get to it almost within 24 hours. We've seen it as early as 12 hours. They just get that scent and they just eat every single egg. So we waited 90 days and we had all these baby alligator snapping turtles and just helped them back down to collected all our data, collected all our measurements, all that normal stuff, and helped them back down to the creek right behind where the nest was. So it was pretty neat. So
nice.
There's some success stories of people
that's good
protecting nests and stuff like that. And I tell people you can always just call, text, email me, and I can walk through. 'Cause sometimes it's sometimes it's definitely a case by case based on a lot of stuff.
I'm going to switch gears away from turtles and ask an Arlington centric question. This is something we ask all of our guests. Do you have a favorite pizza place in Arlington?
You know, since I moved back here, it's been Mama's Pizza because it's down the road.
Yeah.
And it's so close.
And it's good.
And when I have people come over, I'm like ordering Mama's Pizza by the double X large and just having it delivered over or whatever. Taking people there for the buffet and stuff.
Oh, man, the buffet's so fun.
Right.
Yeah. I've got the buffet sometimes on my lunch break.
I used to go to that location used to be a Pizza Hut, and that's the Pizza Hut
Right.
I was a kid to get my bucket.
Bucket.
Yeah.
I was over on the Pizza Hut over on 20 in Little Road back then.
It's not there anymore.
That's not exactly. It's not there anymore. That was the one we would go to.
Yeah, because it turned into a Taco Bell, and then they tore it down to build another newer Taco Bell. So it's nice.
South Arlington.
I know.
Yeah, but it had that one had a little arcade right as you walked in. Well, arcade. I say
it's like the
one
two
arcade.
games, Mrs. Pac-Man and something else. Exactly.
Yeah, no, I did my book at there too.
Good times.
Now, if people want to find out more about Texas turtles and how they can help, how can they do so?
Sure, texasturtles.org.
There you go.
This is the height of our field season. I mean, I was gone. You caught me the one weekend I'm in town. You caught me the one weekend I'm free trying to do stuff at the house.
Well, that worked out well.
We spent all of May on the road from southeast Texas to central Texas to Atascosa County, thorn scrubs of South Texas, doing Texas tortoise stuff. I mean, we kicked off May with our alligator snapping turtle survey site in southeast Texas to Texas tortoises down in South Texas. I mean, we hit a lot of miles, but a lot of stuff. And so, all of that. Pit tagging, traps, bait, gas, simple gas, as we know, for us to get out and do our work this time of year. Donate button on the website. We have some killer shirts. I sell out of shirts so quickly. So if you need a shirt, get one fast before I have to put in another order for everyone else. Everyone's, because they sell. So
and they're cool shirts, too.
Cool.
Yeah, they are
we got
cool
some
shirts.
awesome shirts. We sell tons.
Yeah, which I think if you're a nonprofit, that kind of should be what you do also. Because a lot of people don't think about donations, or if they might be like $1, $5, but if you get a cool shirt, you'll get them.
We sell lots of
stickers.
Stickers. We got stickers on the website that I'm running low on. So
there you go.
I got to do all that.
That's a good thing.
Yeah,
you're running low, right?
Exactly.
People are out there using the stickers and wearing the shirts.
It's been good. It's been really cool.
Well, thank you so much. We learned so much more about turtles now.
Telling you.
Yeah.
Now when I go to the creeks, I'm gonna be like looking out
protect for them. If you see something, say something.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, all of our stuff, all of our traps have our name and information on it. You know, but if something looks shady, don't feel right, it could be a case. Or someone wants to take a turtle home. I feel like a lot of I think it's gotten better on Facebook when people want to keep a baby turtle, and we have everyone kind of jumps on like leave it where it is, leave it where it is, because people can do make some turtles really deformed really easily when they try to keep them young, and they end up really deformed and stuff. So all that stuff, and then once they're in captivity, you can't really release them.
Because it's not really fair,
and they're not. So
what a bad life.
But there's all kinds of cool stuff.
But let's give them a good life.
Yeah, let's give them a good
life. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
We are here with Brandon from Arlington Urban. How are you doing today, sir?
Oh man, I'm good, boss. I don't do any complaining.
Good.
No complaining.
Well, thanks for coming out on a Saturday morning to Urban Union Works.
Union Works
at Urban Union.
At Urban Union.
I guess first and foremost, I know what Arlington Urban is.
Yes, I know what Arlington Urban is.
I follow, so I'm up to date. But for those that don't, what is Arlington Urban Media?
Arlington Urban Media and Entertainment (AUME) is a community platform and media outlet that pretty much covers everything in the city of Arlington. We try to bring relevant information and entertaining digital content specifically to the young adults in the area. Like, we have a very diverse audience at this point in our lifespan, so to speak. But we focus, because we are young adults. Like, our whole team is young adults that come from millennials, so to speak. We speak with a certain tone and understanding of the young adults. You know what I'm saying? Right. So yeah, that's us in a nutshell.
There you go. Well, so how did it start?
So it started as a music-based platform that was covering Arlington artists, like hip-hop artists.
Right.
Other big publications that from the Dallas-Fort Worth area, like Say Cheese, and Dallas Global and things of that nature, platforms like that, they covered artists from the DFW area, but specifically whenever they mentioned an artist that was from Arlington, they would say Dallas, Texas based, because they were. I feel like they had good intentions by trying to, attach the Dallas to it, because they were more of a national platform. Right. And so it's like, okay, people recognize the name Dallas. They don't recognize Arlington. Yep. So they good intention, but us just being from the city and having that pride in where we from, we was like, we need you to add that Arlington to that.
We
like,
know all about that.
Yeah, don't cheat us out that, know. And so it just became a thing that was like, let's do it ourselves. Let's put on Arlington artists ourselves, And so the platform went from there, and then eventually it went from just, posting artists to, I think it was a big situation that had happened with somebody that we were familiar with, like in our friend group, so to speak, that had either got killed or had did like some major crime, and it was like we posted them because it was,
because you had the information.
Yeah, and it was still tied to the culture, the hip hop culture and whatnot. And so that post like did better than every music post that we had posted before that. It was like, oh,
we're on to something.
Let's do this more. And then from there, it just kind of like expanded to just covering everything, as we continue to grow, and, as individuals and whatnot in the city, learning more, it just expanded. And now it's AU and me as we know it. Yeah.
Speaking of, because so you had a focus on like that the music and that kind of thing, and then it went broader. Like I was telling you earlier before we started recording, I learned something like news things I have no idea about breaking on the Instagram. Like I'd be like, oh man, there's a fire over here. Or there's like a car, like something's going crazy, or I appreciate a lot like having like that kind of like in-town perspective and focus, because like you said, we aren't Dallas. Like we are Dallas adjacent, but we're not Dallas. Like we are a big enough city that we got enough stuff going on in our own backyard that we need to know about it. And I appreciate, that sort of focus.
Right. And historically speaking, I'm like, I try my best not to, like within our culture, it is a thing like where Dallas people and Fort Worth people kind of little brother Arlington people. And so you would hear people like, man, forget them Arlington Dallas dudes, forget those Fort Worth dudes. But like more and more that I just learned about the history of the area, I understand that Arlington was in a unique position to be such a beneficiary of two major markets, like historically speaking, Dallas being a financial hub of the nation, being a financial hub of the nation, and then Fort Worth being an agricultural hub of the nation. Arlington has benefited from being right in the middle of that. And of course, you got people like Tom Vandergriff and so on and so forth, who had the vision to say, hey, let's put something in between these two markets, Six Flags and
something
GM
different
and,
that you don't
know what I'm saying, things of that nature. And so I'm like, I never try to disrespect Dallas and Fort Worth, because I'm like, at the end of the day, Arlington,
we owe a lot.
It wouldn't be what it was without being in the middle of these two major markets. So I definitely respect Dallas and Fort Worth, but y'all not Arlington, respectfully.
Exactly. So you talked a little bit about having a team with you now. How big is your team? Who you working with?
Our team is very, very small. Headed by me and my business partner Malik Johnson. He's currently in the Marines right now.
Oh wow.
He just left last year in April, and so he's been there for a little over a year now. But it's spearheaded by me and him, and then we got a small intimate team of about 4 or 5 that we depend on. And
there's only 4 or 5 y'all.
Yeah,
it seems like there's way more.
I'm
considering like whenever there's a car wreck, y'all got video immediately. Or if there's like
you have a good network that you work with in that regard.
Well, it's just the community. I'll be honest. That's the reason I say that we're a community platform, is because people like we build up such a track record of being on top of information that the community kind of like wants to be a part of the process to say,
so they'll send y'all
I saw something, let me send it to you. So sometimes it is like us, out there, being proactive, but a lot of the times it's just the community. They'll send in videos and say, hey, we saw this. I don't know if y'all want to post this, or yo, this is happening over here off da 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 da. And it's like as soon as it's happening, perfect example. The Mansfield shooting. We were the ones who broke that story because kids that were inside of the school at the time of the shooting, they sent us videos of like them, you know what I'm saying, like the shooting when it happened, as far as like being able to hear the sound, the administrative team talking on the intercom, like 9:15 in the morning. I actually was like in a business meeting, and I just happened, we caught like a little intermission in the meeting, and so I just naturally, we have so many messages that go to our requests, so we make it a point to just check our requests. So you go in there and it's like 26 messages. Like, it's a shooting, it's a shooting, it's a shooting. So we got a great relationship with APD, and so we put in a phone call to APD and was like, hey, we just got word that it's a shooting, like, do y'all have anything? And they were like, we haven't heard anything. And so they were like, let me call and call you back. And so they called us back and was like, that's crazy that y'all caught that before we did. And so immediately while we were waiting on them to call back, we started getting a post together, you know what I'm saying, just based off the information that we had. And so when they called back and confirmed, boom, post goes up at like 9:45. And so like I say like it's the residents, the students, the community who helps us stay on top of a lot of the stuff that's kind of like breaking real-time stuff, like the news stories and stuff. We definitely got a system where we use a lot of different methods and sources to curate the information. But the breaking stuff that you're talking about, that's community.
But I think what you said is really great. Like, people want to be a part of that because they want to see, like, if I wasn't necessarily a part of an event, being in the community, I like being able to know that happened. You know what I'm saying? I think that when you're talking about people wanting to be involved, I think people just want to help, They're like, hey man, we want people to know what's going on here, so that like maybe you are driving down 20 and there's a car on fire, like maybe we take an alternate route or something like that. Right,
exactly.
I think that's really cool that you've fostered that kind of community, it's kind of a community.
And that's the reason I always say that we're a community platform first, and then media outlet second, is because like I try to make sure that everybody on our team understands that like we are responsible for the audience that we cater to, and we're held accountable by them. Like we're not above reproach at all. Like they tell us all the time, like I never forget, like not too long ago, we posted something about like a wreck or something that happened in Mansfield, and they were like, I thought this was Arlington Urban, not Mansfield Urban. It was like, we can't cover surrounding cities, but
we've had the same thing.
People done that to us too. They're like, why are you talking about Pantego? And we're like, bro, we're like all around Pantego.
And like we did, there was like a midwives thing in Mansfield. One of my friends just happens to be one of the midwives, and so I talked to like 6 or 8 different at the same time midwives, but it's in Mansfield. And so I got a little flack about like, oh, this is a Mansfield podcast all of a sudden. I was like, damn, can't we?
But that's the pride.
Yeah.
That's the pride of the city.
That's very
also,
true.
A lot of times people think South Arlington is Mansfield. Exactly. So
but they do kind of blend together.
They do.
They blend together,
unless you know it's like, I think Tanglewood is roughly where it is. South of that is Mansfield. North of that is Arlington.
Exactly.
So which is crazy.
So yeah, but like I said, that's the reason I say it's community platform first, because it's all surrounded by community.
Yeah, there'd be times I think there was a wreck on South Cooper that I went through, and then I happened to get the Instagram afterwards. I was like, oh, they actually have video of it. Yeah. Nice, I was stuck in that.
Yeah. Hey, there I am.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So how do y'all decide what to report on in a city our size?
That's actually a great question, because we actually that's something that we discuss like pretty often about like what do we consider relevant or not. A lot of it has been trial and error, just trying to see like a balance of seeing what people respond to, because like at the end of the day, it is a platform that's built on social media. Social media is about engagement. Like obviously, good engagement is the only way you grow. So it's a delicate balance between covering, like disseminating information that we know people are engaged with versus disseminating information that we feel like people need to know. So it's a lot of times that we'll put posts up, like in the past and even currently, where we know that this is not going to get great engagement.
Yeah, you're not getting traction on that.
But somebody needs this information. Like 2 years ago, October, well, it was 2020 election season, whenever they put the local elections along with the national, we interviewed 7 out of the 10 city council candidates, like in person on video. And we put the full interviews up on YouTube, but we, obviously use micro content, chopped it up, and, put specific clips pertaining to things that we thought was relevant to like our community, and so we knew that like if we touching 3,000-4,000 likes on a post, this was not going to do that. This is going to be 700, 800, maybe 500, maybe 1,000, depending on what it is. But that was just like, that's just because we care about that, and we want to lead the charge on being a thought leader and putting that information out, serving as that bridge to put information out that you probably wouldn't come across. Like for the most part, for young black and brown teens and young adults here in the city, they're not going to hear from a city council member unless they see it on our platform. And they won't, like we did the same thing last year with the mayor interviews, which did extremely well. That content did way better than what we thought it would, but we wasn't doing it for the engagement. We was like, somebody needs this information. You need to be aware and in tune with the future and current leaders of the city. So it's always a delicate balance of doing stuff that we know gets engagement versus doing stuff that we believe that our community needs to see.
I think it's good that you do both, though, because like you're saying, like you have a platform that might be serving an underutilized market, and that aren't going to see Jim Ross maybe talk about what's going on issues wise, right? Exactly. And so like I think it's really great that because we always interview the candidates too, but like we're not really talking to the same people all the time. Sometimes we probably are, you know what I'm saying? But like we just kind of different people that are viewing our stuff. But I think I love it. When I saw that it was happening, I was like, man, they got cameras out there. They're that good, going full 9, because we just have audio. We're just an audio podcast. But y'all had the full. I watched some of them. They were good. They were very well done, and I learned things. And I talked to these people, and I still learn things. I was like, damn, these are good. These are really good, and they were. And I love that you keep doing them. I hope you keep doing them, because they are definitely informative, even to me. Right. And I'm pretty like I call Jim Ross right now.
Right. Exactly.
And it's also the thing of you never know who you're inspiring, or because some kid, let's say he's 10, 11, whatever, or even 15. Could be watching these videos like, man, I could be a city council person. Man, I could be a mayor. Yeah. Man, I could be, and if they wanted to, keep climbing that ladder, or just be that person that helps inspire and change your community.
Exactly. So, it's like Tupac. Probably one of his most famous quotes is like, I'm not saying I'm going to change the world, but I will spark the brain that will change the world. Right. And that's definitely like the approach. It's like knowing that we have been inspired by other people who are doing things outside of the norm, as far as like in our culture, black culture, hip hop culture, we are like the number one consumers of the world, and we like unfortunately driven by entertainment. If you look at anybody with black skin, brown skin, that is somebody of status, most of the time it's an entertainer. It's not a politician or you know some other reputable profession. No disrespect to athletes and entertainers. I love them. I was raised by it. You know, but knowing that, you know, specifically me and Malik, just being, you know, young black men, we were inspired by, you know, the athletes and the entertainers, as well as like the other people outside of entertainment who aspire to do something other than just, hey, I'm just gonna dribble a ball, I'm gonna sing a song, whatever. Like even artists like, you know, Jay-Z, who, you know, went from rapper to business mogul, you know, like across the board, $1 billion.
And LeBron is now the first active athlete to be a billionaire.
You know, but his thing outside of basketball, social activism. So it's like
he's got schools, you know, like
exactly.
You know,
so being inspired by people like that, that's definitely like one of those driving factors to say, hey, we go cover things that might not be the most engaging, but it's so informative that it could be life changing if you open your ear and open your mind to it.
Right. And that is the balance, really, is finding, you know, I've always thought that if once you stop learning, you die. Thanks. And so, you know, we all want to be entertained. We all want to entertain we don't all want to entertain others, but there's a lot of people out there that do want to be that person that they see on the screen. Like they want to turn on TV and they're there. Who doesn't want that? But at the same time, you need to be learning all of the time because you don't go anywhere if you're not learning. You're just running your tires in the mud. You're just doing the same thing over and over again. So the fact that you guys are putting both of that out there, thank you for that, because it needs to be out there, and we need far more of that.
Right. Yeah, we definitely try to exist in a space of edutainment. You know what I'm saying?
I like that.
I look at everything as a funnel. So it's like entertainment is at the top of the funnel, but that's just how you grab the attention. And once you have their attention, you kind of lead them where you want them to go. Yeah. And for us, that is the informative information, you know, rather than the entertainment. Because again, everybody loves entertainment. It's necessary. You know, we love having a good time, laughing, and you know, good energy. But it's like, what is life really about? Like you said, it's about learning, it's about growing, it's about being able to teach your community, being able to bring value to the community, inspire the next generation, teach the next generation. And so that's something that we definitely take seriously, is like being like I said, a thought leader and an authority, so to speak, in the information within the city.
Right. Now, going back to entertainment, you guys are pretty heavily into the hip hop community in the Metroplex and in Arlington. Who are some people that they need to be looking out for, because they are really making waves?
Man,
because unfortunately we don't cover as much hip hop on here as I'd like to, but I also
or me. Don't leave me out. All right? I may not look like it, but I love it. All right.
No, there's a great artist named Nojo Wallace.
Okay.
He's Arlington bred, South Arlington bred, and he's I think Nojo is only 21 or 22.
Nice.
But he is like when I first listened to Nojo, I was like, wow, this is what people must have been thinking whenever they first heard Kendrick Lamar.
I was just thinking that in my head. Like
that's literally what. And Kendrick Lamar is like, to me, like he the greatest to ever do it. Like
that new album is real good.
Favorite artist. And so I was like, I feel like I'm getting to hear like the greatest artists
on like the ground
come
level
from here, from the ground level. So Nojo Wallace definitely. Hanani, Hanani had a great song that went viral on like World Star Hip Hop called East Side, and it was about the East Side of Arlington. Mama, I'm on the East Side of town, you know, I'm chilling with my partner. But it was like in the verses, he mentions like so many Arlington things. He like right there on Sherry Street, right next to Poland, behind the, you know what I'm saying? Like he talking about the schools, the streets and stuff. So it was a great, like from that was kind of like his takeoff moment.
Gotcha.
And since then, he's been just bubbling, done stuff with Pharrell. Legendary East Coast artist Jada Kiss gave him a co-sign. Jada Kiss co-signed him. He recently got verified on Instagram. Which if anybody knows about verification on Instagram,
it's not easy.
It is hard. It is hard. We've been pushing for a blue check for the longest. Still haven't got it. So Hanani is one. Free Game Griff, just another like insightful artist who puts real life, real stories, real emotion into the music. Man. Victor Pope Jr. Victor Pope Jr. was he made his name grew his platform on Vine. He was like one of the small group of people who got famous from Vine, like went on to do movies and stand-up comedy and stuff. But he's back in Arlington and he's doing music. Again, another artist that's just insightful, witty, clever, make great music. Man, it's so many. Two-Tone, East Side of Arlington artist who's, again, just blowing up. This is not Arlington, but he's so close, adjacent, Grand Prairie. His name is 12 Gauge Divergent. Get another amazing artist. Like, it's a lot of artists, but those are the ones. If you ask me who am I spending that's from the area on a daily basis, those are definitely the ones who I spend the most.
I love that.
Yeah.
Same. So we have one question we ask everyone on our show. Do you have a favorite pizza place in Arlington?
I'm actually I've been plant-based for 4 years.
Wow. Congratulations.
And there's not really anywhere that has a vegan pizza,
except for Mellow Mushroom.
Yeah. I'd say they're definitely the only ones.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't eat pizza that often no more. So, and before I was plant-based, again, it's only been 4 years. I wasn't really
not a pizza guy.
I wasn't picky. Like, I'm like,
you were like, yeah, pizza, man. Pizza.
Y'all got pizza?
Yeah. Pizza.
Do you have a favorite restaurant here that you eat?
Yeah. What's your favorite plant-based restaurant around here?
Easily. Shout out to the guys. Prince Lebanese Grill.
Oh, yeah.
Easily. Shout out to the whole Copsey family. Prince Lebanese Grill is by far
an Arlington legend.
Yep.
Yeah,
you can even get them at the ballpark now.
Come on, man. Yeah. Like Prince, I'm Team Prince all day.
Yep. So are we.
And then also, again, to go a little adjacent, Grand Prairie, there's a black-owned vegan restaurant called It's So Vegan. They do like
I've
vegan
heard of
soul
them.
food.
Yeah. Oh, vegan soul food.
Yeah. I think I've heard of them too.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Amazing. But Prince and It's So Vegan, that's where when I do go eat out, that's the two places I'm going to.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, we're having Spiral Diner should be.
There's going to be a Spiral Diner over here.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's going to be right on Front Street here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Y'all just put me on
there.
There
you go. Yeah, that's one of the ones that's going to be.
That's the first story we ever broke.
There you go.
Right. Yeah. No, I love Spiral. I mean, I go to the one in Dallas, but
we go to the one in Fort Worth.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Right on Magnolia.
For sure.
Now, if people want to find you online, find out more about you, how can they do so?
Arlington Urban on all platforms. Our website is weareaume.com. That's AUME, Arlington Urban Media and Entertainment. And on everything. TikTok, tap in on our TikTok. We actively building the TikTok. We just hit 10K.
Damn.
We definitely planning to do a lot of cool stuff. The TikTok is going to be a completely separate experience from the Instagram and Facebook. So anybody who's loving short form content, definitely tap in with us on the TikTok. If you love anything about our Instagram, you would definitely love our TikTok.
I don't have a TikTok, so maybe I'll jump on it.
You got to get on it, man. I'm on TikTok.
Oh, you are?
I'm even older than you are. All right. Well, thanks so much for coming out. Everyone, check out Arlington Urban Media Entertainment. If you're not already following them, follow them because you're going to learn some stuff about your city.
Yep.
For sure. Appreciate y'all having me.
Thank you.
All right, thank you to Viviana with Texas Turtles and Brandon from Arlington Urban. Super cool interviews. Really great to meet both of you. Very cool things that both Texas Turtles are doing and Arlington Urban. If you're not following Arlington Urban, you are missing out on a gem in the city of Arlington. Really, like if you're looking for late-breaking news or fast-breaking news sometimes, Arlington Urban is the place to go, man.
They are literally better than Twitter. And Twitter's usually pretty good about being on top of things. But, I mean, as you heard in the interview, their followers give them content, and then they use that content to give you the late-breaking news. It's fantastic. Like, last week there was a brush fire.
Right next to your house.
Right next to our house, where you used to live, too.
Yeah.
And I knew exactly where to go to find more footage of it, and sure enough, I went on Instagram, and there it was, right there on Arlington Urban.
I did the same thing with that because someone had posted on Facebook, I heard there's a grass fire, and I was like, what's Arlington Urban got? Let me see what they got. They had the video. I found it. They had the video all within, seriously, probably like 25 minutes of like this thing, like me hearing about this thing, like it all happened. It was so great.
Love it.
Not brush fires. They're terrible.
Brush fires are awful. And, hopefully this heat lets up and we have less fires. And just shout out to, not a shout out, but smokers, put your cigarettes out before you flick them out the window.
Yeah. We literally cannot afford,
where you live?
No, we don't, but I mean, we do, but just do better. But speaking of doing better and no more brush fires, every first Sunday at 6 p.m., Dr. Jekyll's hosts their Arlington Open Mic.
And then head over there on Monday as well, because that's their trivia night, and that starts at 7 p.m.
Every Tuesday night from 8 p.m. to midnight, Blitz Lounge is having their karaoke night.
And then every second Tuesday over at Create Arlington, that is their open mic / poetry night.
Every Wednesday at Jambo's Barbecue, you can catch UTA Jazz from 5:30 to 7:30.
And right after that, hop on over to Division Brewing for their trivia night every Wednesday from 7 to 9 p.m.
And then One Love Lounge hosts their Artist Love Night, which is their open mic night every Thursday starting at 8 p.m.
And also, don't forget to check out our Find Out Fridays because, if you want to know even more things that are happening in the city of Arlington, you can, because we put up all the posters, all the music stuff, all the, anything that's happening that we can see. We usually get about 20 things posted, and that's a lot to do in a weekend. So, but
you'd be action packed all weekend.
Yeah, but also make sure to mark your calendars for August 6th because we will be at Dr. Jekyll's to do our kind of Mystery Science Theater riff track type situation with a local comedian, and it's going to be fantastic. Check it out. We're going to be 8:30, Dr. Jekyll's. It's going to be a good time.
I agree. Yeah. While you're going to check that out, though, be sure to
eat local, drink local, and
go rediscover your city.
Tag us and send those pictures over to us on Facebook, Arlington Citizen Media, Twitter, ATX Citizen Media. Tag us on Instagram, Arlington Citizen Media, and send those pictures the old-fashioned way. Email arlingtoncitizenmedia@gmail.com. Also go to our website, www.arlingtoncitizenmedia.com. Don't forget to subscribe and give those 5-star reviews of the downtown at Apple Music, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and also hit us on SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, and YouTube.